Good evening, everybody. You guys give me a quick little sound check. I see it moving, but it's not moving a ton. It's not moving as high as I like it. Let me see here. Let me go make some changes. Good. All that looks good in there. Let's see. Yeah, I moved it over here. Always the biggest problem having like multiple sound. Like over here. That's correct. Yeah, it dropped a little bit. All right, let's see if that's better. Yeah, it's moving a bit more. All right, so let me go back in here. Trying to get back in the swing of things. We had lacrosse practice tonight. Ran the kids a lot. Bam, there we go. All right, tickets ran. Sound is good, but yeah, a little. Yeah, no, it's a little bit off. I can see there's the red bar is not moving. It always seems like the program equalizes a little bit. Like it takes like a sampling of sound over like 30 seconds and then kind of adjusts it. That seems to be what it does. Let's put this just a little bit more. There we go. That should be a little bit better. All right, loud and clear, good. Yeah. So it looks like it's a bit better. All right, so going into today, I mentioned last night I didn't expect major movements today. I expected it to be, a little bit slower. And again, with FOMC being as big as it is, I think that was kind of the major kind of focus on the market today. So, S&P kind of, dropped down and then kind of pulled back. The NQ, made an attempt, but then, kind of faltered and is, kind of in a failure to go higher situation right now. Currencies across the board, Euro's up a bit, 42, so not even one ATR. Pound, basically flat. Dollar, yen, down again, but only 33. Dollar Swiss down 64. And again, that's been holding pretty consistent. So that one is still grinding lower. Again, we still had some room to run. We talked about that last night. Dollar CAD up 35. So we finally see a bit of a reversal in this, seeing a little bit of dollar strength coming in. Aussie dollar down about 63. That's not bad, right? Euro pound up about 34 again, some pound weakness coming in. And then pound yen, again, down 42 or 41. But, in the last hour, it's been kind of retracing back up again. So, overall interesting day. So tomorrow I think is really going to be the big day of the week. Looking at a lot of the news in here, not too much. Again, going back, negative rates is one possible tool to support demand, from the BOE. And again, I think everybody's kind of expected that. I don't think that's anything that's like earth shattering. Economic optimism drops. Yeah, sure. But now you're talking about consumer sentiment over here is at pre-crisis levels. So again, Australia numbers are looking like they're getting to be pretty good. So, they were one of the first ones affected. So that could be kind of what's happening, right? Oil also had an interesting day today. I don't know if anybody traded oil. Actually, the levels that I drew earlier today at the Nadex presentation, they actually got bounced off of and kind of retraced a bit. So again, there was a movement there, but again, oil inventory reports. So as I keep mentioning, tomorrow is kind of the big day. So let me bring this back up right there. So here's what we have, everything, including the lower kind of impact news. Obviously, tomorrow morning, we start our super early with French industrial production. Not really a big deal. CPI, core CPI, if you guys attended the Nadex presentation today, you understood how important the CPI number is. It deals directly with inflation. Inflation is gold. Gold is obviously, a major mover in economic crisis, especially anytime the word stimulus is mentioned. That comes in at 8:30. There should be some movement. Again, there may be some reversals off of that. 10:30, we have crude oil. Crude oil is kind of an interesting place. I mentioned today if it was whether in this upper or lower zone, I'd be looking to buy or sell. We've already had one of those hit. 2 o'clock, we have the FOMC, not only statement and funds. And again, I don't believe that there's going to be a change at this point. But the FOMC economic projections, what happens at 2 o'clock, I think is going to be a big deal. We don't really see the economic projections much. I'm curious to see what the Fed feels is going to happen. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's, it should be interesting. Like I said, as I mentioned today, a little bit of warning. Make sure that if you have positions on and you are profitable, or even if you have, a position on and you're negative, make sure you have stops in that you are protected, because this could be a huge mover tomorrow at 2. Now, if the market doesn't do much up until that time, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised either, right? Because again, a lot of times before FOMC, people are waiting, they're watching, and waiting to see kind of where things are going to go, because there is not a forecasted number for something like economic projections. So it may be a bit of a funky morning. It may be worthwhile, getting something pre-market, get it for the open, and then get out, and then just wait until after 2 p.m. Till 2:30 when that FOMC press conference comes in. But it does provide some interesting opportunities on lower time frames, particularly the 30 minutes. If price is, by 145-ish, if it is rallying into position, that can also give us the opportunity to take some out of the money binaries and potentially even some knockouts. Now, knockouts we may want to be a little bit cautious, just because, again, there may be some volatility associated with it, some whipping back and forth, and the question is whether or not a knockout is going to hold. Okay. Yeah, we're looking a little bit. You didn't take any of it. Yeah, I mean, it went off the zone I drew earlier today. It wasn't a huge mover, but still not horrible, right? After that, that's pretty much going to be everything. I mean, the media is going to be all over this economic projection, whether it's good, bad, left, right, or sideways. It will be something that many people are kind of, they're going to be focused on it, right? It's a big deal, okay? And again, whatever they say in the economic projections, typically we do have the press conference 30 minutes after, but it's just in regards to the actual statement. Now they get to dive in and ask, unscripted questions about the economic projections going forward. So, again, if it doesn't move at 2, watch out for 2:30, because, again, that's kind of the 1-2 punch here, the 2 and 2:30. Everything else will pretty much be at the mercy of whatever happens here. Again, that will move gold, that will move the dollar. Should be an interesting day, one way or the other. Okay? Going into scanner land. Now, again, more consolidation today. I mean, you can see the euros for the most part, besides against the dollar, where it is continuing to rise, but only 44. And even yesterday was up only slightly. Everything is consolidating. Okay, CAD, more or less consolidating, more or less sideways. Again, New Zealand CAD, pound CAD, they're kind of up, right? A little bit of a pullback, but again, 4 hours, nothing but consolidation. Aussie CAD, anchor break to the downside, so it's considered negative, but again, really flat on the lower time frames. We just had some news a little while ago. Actually, I guess in 20 minutes they have their CPI and PPI, but their Westpac consumer sentiment is actually, that was good data. Again, talking about consumer confidence numbers. So obviously Aussie is pretty interesting. Aussie. So we mentioned this yesterday, being very, very high on the curve, being, smacking into daily zones, and it was in areas where we wanted to watch out for. That's still kind of the case. Obviously it is now pulled back a bit from that area. Didn't quite give us a reentry, and it's kind of what I would say consolidating more than anything else. So, yesterday, 2 days ago, this was all blue. Now you're seeing kind of some chinks in the armor, right? We got basically, up on the 4 hour, but again, anchor break, anchor break, anchor gate versus the Swiss, the New Zealand, and the CAD. So kind of interesting, right? And then looking at the pound over here, you can see the pound also is not having the strongest of days. The most bullish pair is consolidating on the daily. And again, the two lower time frames are actually giving a bit of movement versus the Swiss. Versus the dollar, again, we're moving up, right? But we're only talking about moving 5 pips in 24 hours. So would I say that that's super confirmed bullish? Not really, right? And then we have an anchor break, and then finally, the uptrend setup. And again, pound yen consolidation. It's down 31 pips in the last 24 hours. So that's not a lot of movement whatsoever. That's actually a very small amount of movement. It's kind of 1/3 of what its ATR should be. And then pound New Zealand. Pound New Zealand's marked down, but this is kind of an interesting pair to trade. It has a very big spread. Has the power to move a lot, but again, kind of gets a little bit funky, right? So be cautious with that. But for the most part, none of these things are really standing out. The majors versus the U.S. is interesting, but again, taking anything overnight right now, you need to make sure that we have enough room to run and that we are out by 2 o'clock. Maybe potentially even by the open. So anything overnight would make the most sense. Now, remember, with something like FOMC and even the CPI and the PPI tomorrow, 4 hour levels are going to matter a lot. Okay. A lot of the 30-minute levels, while they're great and they hold up to kind of like average news releases, really big news releases need really big levels. Again, 4 hour levels is really the smallest we should be looking on. All right. So just keep that in mind. Again, going into tomorrow, regardless of whatever pair you're looking at, regardless of it is an indice, a stock, any type of futures contracts, commodities, doesn't matter what it is. The lower quality, lower time frame zones are not going to hold as well with something as big as FOMC. Okay. All right. So scanner wise, I don't see anything that it's like, yeah, I got to check that out right now. Pretty much, again, it's the consolidation before the storm is what I'm seeing. So going across into the chart. So Aussie first. So last night, okay, so here's the hourly. Last night we were sitting right around this area right here. Actually, it was right. Yeah, it's right. It was right over here. We had just kind of turned from this top. We had mentioned it. We didn't get a pullback. We did get a nice little base and then kind of a pop to the downside that happened around the European Open. It never came back up and retraced. So we got the retracement, not fully back up again. Again, it didn't come down and hit the zone that we mentioned prior, and it didn't come back up for a reentry. So kind of an interesting position. Like I said, hopefully the news is good. I do think there is a bit of a short sitting in this area right here. And this could be something that we take in the overnight. Now, I'd be very, very, very cautious with this one once we get to morning time. But this is not not really a bad runner. We get some good news in 15 minutes. Get a little bit of a pop up into that zone. This would be a nice little kind of turnaround area. And it's about a 40 pip runner to the downside. So, I mean, again, if you need your pips for the day, this may not be a bad opportunity to be able to grab it and, grab it and go with it. Okay. Now, depending on where we are tomorrow with FOMC, again, we may bring this short back in over here, this Harry Potter. I did laugh. We had one person ask me, goes, what's a Harry Potter? It's funny. I typically get that like once a week. What is the Harry Potter trade? It's pretty fun. I should really just really do like a free training and put it together for, go to the website, get the free Harry Potter trade, to understand what it is. But, yeah, I think this zone is, a decent zone. Your entry is up here around 69.85. This first target, again, the 1 to 3 right now is in a good area. The 1 to 5 is actually not horrible. But again, I think this one can make it back down into this 68.70 range by tomorrow. Now, if this is able to come back down, now again, it could just continue to rally up. Again, this zone may fail, even though, we've had sellers here before. If we're sitting in the upper zone here, then again, it probably gives us a pretty good opportunity to take a short out of this one for FOMC. Even for PPI, I would say that's probably not a bad level if this is pushing higher and then it kind of falters and goes, not in that direction. So, couple different trading opportunities. Like I said, still holding the potential for a short as a break through this 68.40 area. Again, in the overnight, this could be a nice little overnight trade to wake up for that one. And again, using this top section up here for the PPI tomorrow morning. Okay. What did I do? Why did I click that? Here, let me go. Sorry, I was like trying to pull my news and it was like all over the place. Yeah. Or not PPI, CPI. Okay. Going across, looking at the Aussie yen. So, drew this one a little bit earlier today. Kind of the same situation, right? We had poked in the top. There was definitely a trade set up out of this one. Here's the hourly. You can see that last night we were sitting. Last night we were sitting right about in this zone. We never got fully back up again. So, kind of like the same setup that we just talked about, except this one's a little bit lower, right? Here's the break. So I'm looking for price to come through. I marked this off earlier, 74.40. Let me put this over here so you guys can see it real quick. Kind of breaking through that level, coming up and retesting. Now, I marked off this one little zone here. Let me let's delete, not this. Let's move this. That can go back. You got this little pop zone right here. So in a short here, I do think we will have a little bit of a bouncer. It may actually come down, tag this level before it comes back up and retest. But again, Harry Potter trade, make sure we get a breakthrough, pop up, grab this pink zone, and then continue to push back down again with a profit target over here. I don't believe any of these are going to be able to turn this one positive. I really think we would need to come a bit lower. And again, 4-hour levels, you can see there's not really a whole lot. I would put it, again, this kind of hiccup is where I'd be looking for potential longs, right around where that 1 to 5 is. And again, you guys can see it. It's this zone right here. Okay. So we got some room to run. This is not a bad little kind of short either. It's about 80 pips to the downside. It has an ATR overall about 115. So again, that would be a nice grab. Hopefully it bursts through and we're able to get into that one short, sometime tonight. Because again, you don't want to necessarily be messing around with that one too much. But if it does break and then it retraces back for CPI, again, there's our entry. Take that short before FOMC notes. Okay. All right. Euro yen. So Euro yen, we marked it last night. We are sitting right here right now. Okay. And then last night we were sitting right around here. Okay. And we talked about, actually we're right here. Talked about coming down to this level. Now this was a tested level before. We talked about already being short from prior areas, right? And all we did is we came down and we touched the area that we had marked off last night and came back up and kind of are sitting in the same exact spot. We were sitting literally right here, and that's exactly where we're at. So it's not really a lot of movement. It continued to fall, bounced off that kind of warding area where we had that tested zone before. And again, I'll move this out of the way. Again, basing, and you can see it on the 4-hour a little bit easier. Basing, pop, push back, test, and then launch, and that's exactly what it bounced into again, okay? So right now we're basing, this one is going to be pretty reliant upon what happens with the yen tomorrow, basically with the overall stock market. Right now you can see over the last, 8 hours or whatever, it's more or less flat since this morning. This one just didn't really have much movement. Most of the movement happened, pretty late, right? The movement happened about European Open, right? We continue to crash down. European Open happened 3, 4 o'clock here, and that's where the bounce, and then it flatlined at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and it was done for the day. So again, I'm expecting something similar. I do expect we will get movement again. Have to see what time we hit this level. If we're able to grind down and get to here around 3 o'clock again, it's probably worth another long, right? Again, you could do it off of the green zone here, which is a little bit more risky versus the more conservative yellow, but it's probably worth one more long. What I'm kind of looking for tomorrow, again, with the yen involved with this one, I do believe that the yen will get some strength tomorrow based off FOMC. It would be another one of these situations. Again, your risk level would be up here where, let's see, can I move this? Let's go here. I have to go to the higher time frame to do it. Move that there. Drop back down. Right around this level right here. And again, same Harry Potter. Look for a break of the zone and then look for a continuation pattern to the downside. Now, looking to the left of this one. Okay, let's cover profit targets on this one. All right. Looking to the left, you can see that this is right around this level of basing. Okay. Mark this off before, right? So here is where you need to be out from, right? Right in this zone is going to be your first profit, which just happens to coincide with your 1 to 3. So I like it as far as the setup, but again, it would be a break of the zone. If it does come down and tag this green or the yellow and bounce higher, there's no entry, so no harm, no foul. What we're looking for is a break of that level, a retrace back up, and then a continued short to the downside on this one, okay? And that price level is approximately 121.21, right? 121.20 is fine. 121.22 is actually where the bottom of the level happens. Again, just match it up to yours, all right? But we should, it's not a bad little trade to the downside. Now, pound yen. Yeah, look at this one. Very, very flat. Obviously, there's a level sitting right in here, right? You saw that price kind of bounced up and then popped sideways. And we've kind of bounced off that a few times. It's an all right zone. I wouldn't say that I love it. You guys can see it here a little bit easier. It's basically more or less sideways, right? A little bit of up, a little bit of down, a little bit up, and that's exactly where we're sitting right now. I'm still looking for this green box to kind of basically be a launching point, right? But yeah, I'm just, I think this one needs just a little bit more. Okay, so if we wanted to refine this a bit, bit more, you can put yourself up there. It's all right for a short. We are putting lower lows in. We're putting lower highs in now, so we are technically back into a downtrend. But again, a lot of this is in the overnight when it's just the Asian session. So, tomorrow we don't really have, let's see. We don't have any news tomorrow for the pound. And really not a whole lot on Thursday either. Really all the pound news comes in on Friday, and it's not even like it's great. It's inflation, consumer trade balances, industrial production month over month, manufacturing production, which is not a horrible number for the pound. So there's really not a lot stoke in this one, minus kind of Brexit talks or what's happening in the European Union. So, kind of one of those ones. It's like, we're kind of sitting here. We're not quite at the bottom. It is pulling back. It does look like it wants to continue being short. And again, looking at the 30-minute, we do have lower lows, lower highs. So we are officially in a downtrend. You could probably use the zone one more time. Again, it didn't really even enter the zone. It's kind of banked off of it twice. But if you're really looking for a trade, you'd be in this area. Now, again, remember, yen is going to move based off of what happens with the dollar. So, the overall stock market. So just keep that in mind. Of the other positions, this one is kind of like a, I'd say this one is more of a B entry, but if I had to pick a direction, I would say that I'm probably short in the overnight. Maybe a little bit of a pullback, maybe a little bit of a bounce up, grab levels here or grab levels right above, and then a continued push to the downside. I do think price will probably by the end of the week be back down here at this, 136, kind of 35-ish, 36-ish range, right? Let me see. 136.38. Actually, 37. Sorry, I missed it by 1. Okay. It's all right. It's all right. I like some of the other ones a little bit better. So, pound. Pound is up 20 pips in 24 hours. So, you guys can see that this zone, we are sitting right here right now. Last night, just to kind of follow through with things, we were sitting right at this level. Okay, so we put this, this piece in, right? If I go back, we had drawn, I guess we were basically drawing that zone. You guys can see that there was a bit of a zone here, this kind of lower side. And again, that's what it, based and rallied in. We're in a short period right now. Again, this is a 4-hour and an hourly kind of overlap. If we go up to the 4-hour, you guys can see that we are in the same zone. So we do have the green push in, the red push out, the green push back up again. So it is trying to put a kind of confirmation to the downside in, but you got to be cautious. I mean, price was turned around here. It's hit there a few different times. This is kind of a junk level. I think really where this one would, a decent profit target would be down here in this 25, 40-ish range, which would, again, be an hourly and a 4-hour zone down here. This one's okay. Again, like I said, it dropped, it based, it had a nice push. Didn't get back to retest, but then continued to push higher. But it's been here a few times, right? We marked this zone off last night as being the level, and that's exactly what it bounced into, right? It could be worth an overnight short. What interest we got left in this thing? It's about 22. It's 35 for the 4-hour. Let me see on the 30-minute. It's about 20. Not bad. We got a pop here. Okay, so the way I'd play this one, let me make sure it's still valid. Let me pull up Mavex real quick. Make sure that touch bracket is still there. This is one of the touch brackets, or one of the knockouts sitting right above this. If you take the area from this level to the knockout, because again, if you got into position, that's where you would be. You guys can see that it's about 17 pips. I'm okay with 17 pips. I don't think 17 pips on this pair is horrible. Let me see if that knockout is still sitting there real quick. Let's see, knockout, forex, pound dollar. All right, so that would be the top side at 27.66. Yes. So that would be knockout number 3. That's actually not a horrible trade setup if we can get up into that level. Now, again, there is a little bit of extra risk in that trade, but again, some of that is associated with the knockout bracket. But you'd basically be looking at, risking, this level right here, this level amount, about 15 pips, right? That would be your risk. And your reward gain on that one, again, a little bit low. I know ideally we'd like to be here, but that's probably not too horrible of a target. And again, this would give us at least a 3-to-1. Would be something along those lines. Okay, now again, if you get stopped out, it's 15 pips loss per contract. $15 per contract. Not a horrible loss in there. But that could be an interesting setup. Especially if we can get up into that zone before the European Open, that may be a grab right there we're looking to grab. Okay, Euro pound. Basically just consolidating back and forth. We are sitting right here right now. Well, this is on the 4-hour. Let me bring it back down to the hourly. Here's where we are now. Whoops. There's where we are now. And last night we were sitting right here. Right there. So as you can see, we are 20 pips different, 25 pips different. Not really any great levels that it bounce off of, top or bottom. I can make it, spread out, make it look really, really exciting, but we're only talking about 25 pips. Kind of top to bottom here. So nothing great. I don't really like this one. I wish it was higher or even lower. But neither of these two being, messing with these levels in here, it's just sideways movement. This one has moved 31 in 24 hours. So, and now it's kind of pulling back. So it's losing a lot of its run right now. I do think this one will come back and settle back into this level. Again, pretty decent kind of push out of there. That may be a decent pop tomorrow morning. Again, if we can coincide that with the European Open. Again, this one will not have as much FOMC kind of exposure or the US CPI. But if we get a pop into that zone, it's probably not horrible. That's where your profit target would be, which is okay. I'm all right with that zone. The 1 to 5, a little bit riskier, but I could be sold into that one as well. That one may not be horrible. And you're looking at, it's about 82. That's a lot for this pair tomorrow. It's about 50 to this, the 1 to 3. So, it's not a horrible zone. Again, did some basing in there. Pushed out, popped down, and then that's when it went. So, not bad, not horrible. Okay, euro dollar. So, euro dollar earlier today right? So we are sitting right here right now. When we did an analytics presentation earlier, we were sitting right here. We just formed this kind of failure to go higher. It's actually right here. And I said, hey, listen, this made a push. It got front run. We would have loved to get short here, but this may be kind of a lower term piece. Now, I did mention earlier, for those of you chart pattern people, okay, this little pop and down, and then a bigger pop, and then a little pop, this is also a head and shoulders. Okay, so that's why the market is kind of stabilizing, going, oh God, it's too easy to see. It's fighting it. So I do think this is valid for another short. If you guys get short in that area at 113.50-ish, probably not bad for tomorrow. And again, looking for a retrace back down to, either the 1 to 3 is fine. The 1 to 5 is a little bit riskier because we're on the other side, but we may be able to push this one all the way back down to 112.61. We will have exposure tomorrow for both CPI and FOMC because the dollar is involved with this one. So just be a bit cautious in using that level. There are no knockouts that are even remotely close, so unfortunately it's not going to be a good call for that. Dollar CAD. So dollar CAD is up 18 pips, so whopping 18 in one day. So as you guys can see, it stabilized. It didn't really do a whole lot. I'd say it's more or less consolidating. We drew this level of basing, I think earlier today or last night, I don't remember. But basically said that, it's very hard to draw price moving off of this just because it spent so much time here and it kind of pushed down. And it did. It ended up being, a nice little turn area earlier today. You guys can see it right here. So price did rally up in there, but would I have drawn the zone like this on the hourly? No, not really. I mean, it's a very, very sloppy zone. It offered, a nice push down, and it didn't spend much time here before it turned and flipped. But again, you're seeing your lows get higher, and they're in very, very small zones. Even this zone up here, it turned and flipped, but it's not a very big zone, right? And, this was a 4-hour zone that I drew in the white, and you're talking only about 35 pips. So on the smaller side, daily wise, obviously this is pushed back down. It got stuck at the gap. I'd like it to go a bit lower in the overnight. If it could drop down to this 132.96, that 133 range, I'd be really excited. But it's got to go about 100 pips before it gets there in the overnight, and I'm just afraid it's not going to be able to do that. But much more willing to get long when we're sitting, back in this area, this lower area at 133. Okay, so nothing in the overnight for the CAD. Dollar yen. So as you can see, we drew this kind of as a target level, right? We had a nice push up. We had that failure to go higher on the 4-hour. Pop came back up again, collapsed, and it stuck right in the target area that we talked about before, okay? And again, the reason why this was our target area, again, we had basing and a nice pop out of it, and it's literally stuck in that zone. So there's a little zone below it. It does look like it wants to continue to push lower. It made an attempt to go higher, grab more orders. It is now pushing back to the downside. So this one is funky, right? We got a level here, which again, it dropped, had a nice little hop, and then a nice push off. So again, this 107.12, you got to obviously focus on that level. On a 4-hour, that's kind of what you're seeing right here. I think that's a level we need to respect. So I could be talked into taking a short from this level lower. A little bit of a hiccup here, a little bit of a hiccup here, but I do like this for long. Very, very clean. Drop in there, little kind of push, and then boom, it exploded out the top. And the risk to reward on this one is not horrible either. Again, a little bit bigger of a time frame. We're talking about, let me bring this down so I can get rid of that. You guys can't see it there. Let me go up one more. There we go. Oh, I'll just hit delete. That works too. Yeah, I can't move that one. That's a touch bracket. Right there. So again, looking at, using this as our stop. Using that as our stop level. And then obviously having this push a bit higher. Using something along those lines. Go to the top side. Now again, a lot of this too makes, it matters when it hits that zone and what it's going to do in that zone. Below that, again, I'm not opposed to a short. You guys can see that there's not a whole lot sitting below that. So, there's a potential short trade in there as well. Again, timing matters a lot on this one. I could be sold for taking a short back down to that level to take this tomorrow for a pop to the top side. We'll see. But again, that's what I'm looking at right now. Dollar Swiss. So dollar Swiss, here's a level that we drew last night. We drew this level because of what we had. I think we originally did on the 4-hour. Yeah, see this little base right here, this pop, this sideways movement, and then the explosion out, and the fact that it was tested. We drew this last night. We talked about it. Well, that's exactly what we bounced off of earlier today. Okay, as you can see, price came down and has kind of pushed away. It's probably at a 1-to-1. If anything, it was more of kind of a target. There was a knockout right below, and again, price did pull back into that level. So, It's moved a bit. We're talking about 19 pips, nothing crazy. It still appears to be in a downtrend, and again, kind of makes sense with everything going on. I mean, if we wanted to get short tomorrow, there is a small position sitting right here. Okay. I would change this. This is not a long area. This is a short area, something like this. Again, this was a nice drop, nice sideways drop, or not sideways basing, and then a nice pop out of it. You could be looking at something small, like this. Right in that level right there. And again, it's hard to tell whether or not that's an area that we want to, we'd be interested to get in. We don't know what price looks like getting up to that zone, but that's a nice little, again, that's a pretty indicative sign that there are some sellers sitting in that zone. And you'd be looking to take over this area right here. Okay. Oops. Come on. There it is. Right there. Okay. Something along those lines. All right. That level is coming in at right there. 95.40. All right. All right. Going to NQ. So, NQ. Okay. Still continuing to push a bit higher, as you guys can see. Marked up a couple like levels of basing. And again, we mentioned this before. This zone actually is here. Okay. Again, this kind of retraced this pullback. And again, got to give it a little bit of a boost. So, again, being at all-time highs, this is typically something that you need to be very cautious with. We can use failure to go higher. Right now, it's continuing to push higher. Yeah, it's continuing to move. We'll see what it does tomorrow. Again, CPI will affect this. FOMC would be interesting. Like I said, the market right now is doing great. I mean, all-time highs. I'll be interested to see what the projections look like. Because, I mean, the big question I have is if NQ is at an all-time high right now, and we have all this cheap, people aren't working, consumer confidence is low, GDP is low. When all that stuff starts kicking back up again, how high can it take this? Which makes an interesting story come election time, right? Come election time. And the reason why is, again, if markets are at all-time highs and, it's one of those things. There are certain political parties that whether support the overall markets or kind of bash the overall stock market. But one thing that a lot of people don't realize is most pension funds that exist, union workers and blue collar workers, a lot of what they have, like pension wise, their retirements, they're not so much in 401ks, they're more in pensions, are typically pretty much pegged to the stock market. So it's not bad that we are at all-time highs now, even though people are not working and everything else, because pension funds and things like that are going to be taken care of. When everybody's back to work and things are back to normal and we all laugh that, COVID-19 never had a second wave or a third wave, right? Hopefully that's what we're saying. This market can really go crazy. This thing can definitely, have some legs at the top side. So, it's hard to say, hey, listen, we're bearish. At this point, we can look for small kind of, short trades intraday on the pullbacks. But right now, I think you got to be long this one. I just don't see this, unless they say that, hey, listen, we're going to go into a huge, deep recession in October or by October. You got to be long this one. You got to be looking for these pullbacks. Again, small time retracements, but for the most part, yeah, that should be cleared. Why that one's there? No, that should be cleared because it's broken above. But anyway, yeah. So some interesting movement, right? What is this? Hold on, I see some. Saw a story today with Biden saying Trump just inherited the longest economic expansion in U.S. history from. No, it's actually not true. I mean, it started there, sure, but then at the same time, you could say that Obama had the worst decline in history because, again, the low was in his term. So it's not really right to say that. If you remember the elections, what they were saying at the elections was that if that Hillary won, we would be in a recession. Again, part of the normal cycle by January. Or within like 1 or 2 months of taking over. Really, the reaction to her winning was supposed to put us into a recession. And if Trump won, it would take about 6 months, but then we would be back into a recession. So both parties were pretty much agreeing that we were going to go into a recession at that time. So it's hard to say that it came from another one because everybody agreed we were definitely going to a recession. It was just whether it was going to be instantaneous or within 6 months. So, the fact that it rallied as much as it did is a pure, I would say like them or dislike them, is a pure direct effect to, Trump. Because again, both parties agreed we were going to be in a full recession and everybody talked about being in a recession as part of the natural cycle. Okay. Also remember what he did. Again, love him, hate him, if you're indifferent to him, he did peel back a lot of the regulation. And again, cheap lending, interest rates low. So he did do a lot of kind of again, he gave tax cuts to the big businesses, helped work on business tax code and stuff. So he did do a lot of pro-business things. So I do believe it is a direct effect. Was he effective in all things that he did? No, obviously not. But it was something that I think we have to, like it or not, people are going to have to directly, correlate that, the market to Trump. It's very hard to argue that point when red and blue all agreed unanimously that we were going to be in recession, and we didn't really hit it. Can't blame COVID on him. It just, never experienced anything before, and markets are once again, we are, breaching all-time highs, and we're still not even through it yet. So it'll be interesting to see again, for me, the big thing is I don't care so much about the market numbers. I want to see what the unemployment numbers look like by the fall. If we can get those unemployment numbers back down to 3.8, remember, everybody said we could never get 3% growth. It was impossible to get. And then it was like, well, he can get it for like a year. And we've been able to hold growth pretty well over his time frame. And again, lowest unemployment rate ever. It's hard. It's really, again, taking a step back and look at those economic figures is interesting. So I think that this one still has more room to run to the top side. Again, looking for pullback areas. Again, on the short term, look for reversals intraday, right? If you guys are looking at this, here's where we are now. Let's go to an hourly. It's probably easier on an hourly. Bum, bum, bum. The big movement today, basically right here was the reversal. It wasn't very big. Right? Market started moving at about 5 o'clock in the morning, went up, 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 up. Pullback happened right at 10 o'clock. That's where we ran into a little bit of steam, pulled back, and then continued to push higher. That level that we formed at 10 o'clock was actually the takeoff point to continue higher. So it's definitely a morning kind of setup, see where the levels have formed, see what it's done in the overnight. It may continue to push up all night long, and then we're looking for some type of a pullback. But again, FOMC can throw a monkey wrench into this thing. Right, this thing could get totally messed up and push back to the downside. So, yeah, could be a bit dangerous. Now, S&P I think is in a little bit better of an area. Again, on the daily, you can see it's not quite as high up. On the 4-hour, again, some interesting. We marked this level off earlier today. I'll go down to one time frame lower. Here's where we are right now, and then going back last night, we were sitting right here, right there. Okay. And we'd mark this level off. Okay. What did I say? This is a perfect example of a failure to go higher. Nice pop up. It pushed back down again. It gave a little bit of space. It pulled back up and it failed. And it went low. Now, we did not hit the 1 to 3 on the first attempt. It did come back up. It did grab more orders. And then, boom, it collapsed back down again. And then we rallied back up. And again, it's kind of sitting almost at that level again. So again, that's what we're talking about. This is the exact pattern that we're looking like inside of the NQ. We don't have it right now. But again, as it's pushing higher, it gives us more of an ability to find one of these. And again, these are just more near, early, short-term type targets. This reversal happened about 2 o'clock in the morning. And as you can see down here, 7 o'clock here. And technically, the same thing happened on the downside. Let's see. Yeah, no, it didn't even mark it off. But you guys can see right here, kind of the same thing, right? There was the near-term low. And right here just happens to be 10 o'clock. Here was the market open right here, right? So we were in a downtrend. At 10 o'clock, it hit a demand zone and then took off. So here, you were successful in the top. Excuse me. You were successful on the top side. And then here is the bottom side. Okay. And again, 10 o'clock reversal. You were out by 11 o'clock. Right? 10:30, downtrend in the morning, hit a demand zone, popped up, hit your 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio by 11 o'clock, and then ended up, and we just hit our 1 to 5 if you had held it that long, which you probably wouldn't have, but it ended up moving all the way back up again. So, again, similar situation. Looking at it now, you got to say, hey, listen, last time we were right here, right? Last time we were in this zone, what happened? Seller stepped in and hammered the price back down. So, again, you got to be thinking, hey, can that happen again? All right? Could we potentially be getting another short setup for here in the overnight? Yeah, I think it's valid. I think you got to think about it. Again, everybody knows that, the news is probably not going to be great, right? They're going to definitely mention COVID. So yeah, this could be the market positioning itself to, take another short in the morning. All right. All right. And again, I'm not going to put specific numbers on here because remember, ECN data, the numbers are slightly off. So you guys should use yours, but use the peak right here that happened at about 2 o'clock this morning. That'll be best in your charts. So the Dow, Okay, so we marked this area off last night in the Dow. We were like, oh God, just go higher. And it didn't. It literally turned on us and flipped. Here's the hourly. I wanted to go higher. I really, really did. I was really cheering for this one. I just must be a horrible cheerleader. My pom-poms are not good enough or something. But here's where we are now, and here's where we were last night, right here. Okay, so right here. So it kind of went sideways. We were like, go, go, go. And it went boom, dropped down. Didn't even hit the other clearly marked zone, and then came back up. And we're basically a little tiny bit off from where we were last night. More or less no movement. This one is an interesting situation. NQ all the way up there. Dow definitely not. S&P kind of hitting levels. This one is kind of just stuck, right? Excuse me. You can see, I mean, the level that we have marked is still a good bit of ways away. Again, it's a nice little zone. We're kind of sitting right here, and there's really not much above. So there's really no reason it won't go any higher. It's kind of an interesting place for sellers to kind of step in and push it down. I think we got to wait. I think 2820, 28,020, I think is where we'd be looking to get short. Ideally, again, I'd like this to happen in the overnight and then get crappy numbers for the 8:30 release of CPI and then have it force all the way down, the 1 to 3 and have it be out by 2 o'clock. That would be ideal. Even if we rally up into that zone, that could be an interesting thing to take to the downside as well. I mean, again, maybe CPI is what bumps us up to that zone, right? And then that's where we get short this position. Maybe we get short, somewhere, over in this range, right? It's getting short over here and not necessarily at this level, right? Just mark that there so you guys can see where it's at. Okay. So maybe this is the play tomorrow. We get a little bit of oomph from the CPI numbers. And remember, guys, this isn't if this, then that. If it does nothing but go straight down, obviously this trade is not valid. It's not valid unless you actually get entered. So if we're able to push up, that's where we get short, very small zone, push it back to the downside. Your 1 to 3 is fine. At this point, your 1 to 5 maybe, as well. On the 4-hour, there is a bit of a, the failure to go higher, but it's only because it's on the 4-hour. Here is the 1 hour, so it's consolidating, right? Sideways, drop, sideways, kind of rallying back up again. So there may be a bit of a short there. So I don't know. I'm hoping this one is junk again. It's spent a lot of time there. So I'm hoping it goes through it and we get back up into that, the 28, 24-ish range. I think that's a much better short. Looking at gold. So gold, okay. Gold, This one's been chopping around. So last night we were sitting up in, in this range and we talked about it. On the lower time frames, you can see kind of that's what we ran into. We were talking about a zone level here. It did push up. So, it bounced, right? I mean, it did take a bounce, right? Here's where current price is. And then again, last night we were sitting right here. Right here. So we had the zone marked. It did take a nice bounce. In the overnight, it went pretty crazy. Went all the way back up. And again, what time did it hit? It hit at 10 o'clock and then continued to push down. Now, it's not a very big mover. It's not far. You were definitely profitable in the position. You're talking about really going from 17.16 down into the 17.10 range. 17.11 range. So it's only about $5. It wasn't a huge mover. Again, this will be a very at-risk pair tomorrow, just because again, CPI, inflation is gold. I think you got to watch out for this one. So should be interesting. Not much reason to do anything with it tonight. Got to see where we are tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then again at 2 o'clock. Because like I said, the FOMC is the person that will mention interest rates. Again, that directly goes to inflation. If by some chance they talk about dropping it to negative interest rates to help the economy, yeah, that's going to send this thing crazy. It'll be a rocket ship. If they talk about raising interest rates to curb inflation, that may move this around as well. But if they say that we're seeing a really low, inflation environment and they don't see it raising anytime soon, then again, that's where gold is going to be turning and flipping to the downside. So the way that I recommend to play this one in kind of the safest fashion tomorrow, and when I say safe, obviously there's risk in all trading, but I would definitely probably play this over in the binary realm. Again, any type of option. I mean, if you want to do any type of gold options, you could do that. But just getting into something with kind of very limited risk. Again, you don't want to take the downside on this one. Not downside is meaning you don't want to put a lot of money on the line for this. it has the potential for a big move, but you don't want to be at like a risk one to make one type situation. You want to make it a little bit farther out. Keep the risk small. Maybe trade more contracts if you like. You know, there could be some big fireworks, but there could also be none, right? If, you know, they're just like, nope, we don't know anything right now. But I think, you know, if anything, I'm probably a bit more bearish this setup, unless if they mention stimulus, giving more money out, then yeah, it's going to the ceiling. Now, silver had an interesting position today. All right, so we are sitting right here with silver. Okay, last night we were sitting right here. Okay, and we mentioned again, here's our push forward. It dropped back down again, kind of put it in a new high. Okay, so that area got hit about 10 o'clock today. Again, 10 o'clock reversal. There's typically 1 or 2 of these every single day. This one had a short from basically 1740. What was it? 1774, 1778. So about 4 cents worth of risk. And you can see it came all the way down and ended up actually gapping all the way down to, 1749. So again, about a 25-cent drop in silver. Very technical based setup. And again, it is rallying back up again. It is also kind of pushing itself to a position where I'd say, hey, listen, I'm probably a bit more bearish in where it is on a technical basis. It is, approaching levels where we've seen sellers step in already. So keep that on the, keep that under mind. Keep that under wraps. I think that's something that we definitely would be interested in doing. Again, taking that one short if you're, if you play silver. Now, oil, I switched back over to make sure we get the most updated prices at TradingView. Oil, earlier today, again, 9 hours ago or whatever, you can count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We were sitting right here. And I talked about how we were dead in the middle. And I marked off 2 zones. Last night, we talked about this zone. I unfortunately closed the chart down, so I couldn't bring it back up again. But we talked about this drop, this sideways and the drop again, how it came over, grabbed it for inventory, and then kind of slammed in the bottom side. We were sitting right in the middle earlier at the Nadex presentation. So we did go back up again, and we did kind of push back down. Very interesting. It's I think oil is kind of preparing itself for tomorrow. Obviously, we know we have some sellers stepping in kind of in this blue range at the very upper ridge of it. There is a little hidden zone sitting right here, and it's kind of hard to see. So I'll draw it back in here, and then I'll change the color to kind of make it a little bit easier. Oops. Right there. Okay. So there is a little hidden... Well, let me change it to there. We'll change this to... There you go. Right here. Little hidden wick over wick, and again, that's what bounced this, and that's also what bounced this. So on the safe side, I'd remove this blue. Okay, we can take this blue one out, and even though that's a zone, we know there's some sellers stepping in. So it looks like we have some sellers sitting at 39.05, right, would be where sellers are stepping in, and it looks like we have buyers stepping in, I'd say approximately 37.20. So down, let's see, right in there, and let's see, then we put another one right about there. Okay, and change that to bright red. So that's kind of what we're looking for, top or bottom tomorrow. Again, a lot of this depends on where oil is. It may put in a small kind of 30-minute level. Again, 30 minutes are always great to look at as well. You see kind of like smaller zones. I think either of those two matters in the morning. Again, oil inventory report is at 10:30. Let me see if they have the forecast out right now. Let's see, go to tomorrow. Yeah, so right now it looks like they're saying that the inventory is going to be just slightly lower, down 1.8 million barrels. So, we should be pretty close. And that's not bad. Again, being down a little bit, that may give us the benefit. Again, if it's not as bad as what we thought, again, that would also help drive us. So, sitting up near 39, obviously, guys, be more bearish minded. If we're sitting down here around kind of the 37 level, or 37.50-ish level, again, you got to be thinking a little bit more bullish. Right now, we're at 38.30. So kind of smack that in the middle of no man's land. So it will grind either up or down. I doubt it will go just sideways before tomorrow morning for that inventory report. As you know, that does technically get leaked. There are people that have that data, and you will typically see price move ahead of time on it. So again, shorts, longs, a couple different ways to play it. Actually, real quick, let me see. Let me check kind of some of the things on this one. So 37.20. So interesting enough, there is a knockout that you could potentially play. So if we are down here at this 37.20, 30 range, there is a knockout at $37, which is sitting right there at the far end of that zone. Okay, let's make this a dotted line, and we'll make it, I don't know, we'll make it there. Okay, so right at this dotted line is the bottom of a knockout. That is knockout number 3 in oil. If we are sitting down into this zone, that's actually not bad risk. It'd be about $20 risk if we get back down to that 37.20. And again, anywhere we are, the knockout is at $37. Right now, this is reading 38.33. The indicative over here is 38.36. So it's about 3 cents off. So it does give us a little bit of a leeway, but very interesting that that's where the knockout is. So that could be a potential setup if you guys do know how to trade Nadex and you are interested in knockouts. If price continues to push down, again, there could be a short here. Now, 39 is actually there is no 39 ceiling. The next ceiling is sitting actually right here. So it doesn't really make much sense for us. They're kind of skewed, but right now we're closer to the bottom side. So, maybe one little trade. Binaries and everything like that, we'd have to wait till we get a little bit closer. And then the commodity call spreads, let me check those real quick. No, there's not even anything close. Not anything close. Ceiling wise, we go our level's right at 39. There's a 38, and then there is a 40, which is way up here. So that doesn't make any sense. The bottom side being at 37, the closest one that we have is a 38, which doesn't work for us. And then a 35.50. So yeah, the call spreads are totally jacked as well. So yeah. So it looks like the best bet for this one tomorrow will be either trading a binary, depending if we're low or high, as well as a knockout to the downside. The knockout doesn't make sense on the top side for that one. All right. All right, guys. So we're a little bit early tonight. It looks like we have a couple new people in the channel. If any of the new people want me to look anything, go ahead and type it in real quick. I can do that. For everybody else, let's go ahead and get our final tickets in. Looks like Ernest is missing. James is missing. So we got a couple other people that need... Oh, no, Ernest is right there. But James is missing. Who else is missing? Oh, yeah, Debbie's in. Sean is not in. Q is in. Remember, Q won last night, right? So if Q wins, then he will get an extra 100 pip chips for the evening. Is Josh in? Yeah, Josh is in. Will. There's no Will yet. Will's here. Will's trying to get in early. That's what it is. I wonder, does Will know that he doesn't have a ticket in yet? What's up, Gallo? I didn't realize you were in here, Gallo. Will, how come you're not showing up over here? Wait, it says you bought a ticket. Is it me? Do you guys see Will right here? I see Wealth Builder. Wait. Is it me? Has Ernest finally hacked the system? Oh, man. I saw Will execute that ticket. Do you see this? Hold on. I gotta refresh this. Hold on. Let me go to the public page. Now I'm like, wait a second. I saw Will do this twice. Am I okay just getting my feet wet? I started with TD Ameritrade account on Friday and put $1,500 in. Just trying to make extra money, but I'm afraid. So, Hipster, here's the biggest thing. So whenever you're trying to get into this, make sure that you are... oh, I can't see it over here. Make sure you have a strategy, okay? A lot of people get in and they use their gut feelings. They're like, well, I heard this on the news. Why can I not go back and see this page? But I'm going to close this down and reopen another one. Just be pretty careful with it. A lot of people will just say, if I lose it, it's no big deal. It's the cost of doing business. But that's the wrong way to think about trading. With that $1,500, well, I put 1K in Rolls Royce. In Rolls Royce, I see they're low. Yeah, but are they low for a reason? Are there many people buying Rolls Royces right now? With unemployment at, 13%, are a lot of people buying it? Yeah, I mean, COVID, but, I don't know. Rich get richer. They do, but the rich also get poorer. Not everybody. Typically, the people that buy Rolls Royces don't stay rich for long. I've lost all my functionality. I wonder if they were having problems. Weird. So I can close the giveaway, but I can't see any of the winners right now. Nor can I do anything. So I guess we're going to leave this one open overnight. That is so weird. How do I go back? I think Ernest's hacks were pretty strong today. So I guess we will go back. I guess I'll give this a little bit of time to unstick itself, and we'll see if we can get that drawing out. All right. Oh, look, more people are buying tickets. All right, let me see. Hold on. Let's see if he got in for tickets. It's broken again. It may be broken. Well, but here's the question, though. Well, More importantly, right? Oh, not that. So I can see this, but more importantly, let's see if I can see this. Yes, so Will, just because you asked, I am going to do this right now for you so we don't lose them yet again. There. Now it's saved, and I will save it. So in case it does get broken again, Will, okay, we will save it. Let's see. Pip chips 6/9/2020. Just in case. Just in case. And we'll see if it kind of fixes itself. It may fix itself. You know, it may just need to restart or something like that. Like deja vu all over again. I know, right? Meanwhile, Q's over here like, but I won last night. Like, what's happening? What's happening? All right, so while that's doing that, you know what, Hipster? Let me go ahead and pull up TradingView. And let's check out your stock for you. Rolls voice. Here we go. Not Roku. Where is it? Rolls Royce? No, it's not that one. It comes up as a defense stock. It's like, what? What? What the heck is it? What's a stock symbol? I don't know how to do a call put options. Calls and puts are very, very simple. It's kind of hard to teach it to you in a few minutes, but they are very, very simple. Hold on. All right, it's that one. That's what I typed in at first, and it didn't work. And I was like, huh? Hold on. RYCUI. All right. Let's go to full feature chart. All right. Yeah, I can't do much with this. Let's see. Let's go to a daily chart. So this is what you're dealing with? Okay. No volume. All these gaps in here. And a little bit of a pop, but I don't know. I mean, you're talking about a $4.70 kind of bit right there. So, I love this one. It's the biggest sleeping tiger I've ever seen. 3 times the volume today and flat. So lots of volume, lots of people buying it today. A lot more than normal, but no movement. No movement. So, yeah. Interesting position. I wouldn't trade it because it's too low in price. Nor would you be able to trade many options on it because, again, it's too low in price. So, yeah. Yeah, it's one of those ones. You typically, again, as an advisor, they were always like, anything under $5, get rid of it. Do not trade it. So, what's it showing shares-wise? No, I don't need to see the ad. No. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit risky for me. Yeah, I mean, this is what you're looking at. Look at all this. There's just not a lot of volume and all this volume here. But, I mean, that's a lot more than normal. But even here, look at this. Huge volume, and it barely moves. So, you know, that's... Here's Rolls Royce. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's hard because it's all gaps. Right? So, yeah. I mean, you typically want to buy it low, but is it low for a reason? Yeah. Just be cautious with it. So, what I can recommend to you is, if you go to the CBOE website, they actually do have some great resources out there for beginning options traders. An option is going to be a better way to trade pretty much anything than a stock. In a stock, you have basically 100% risk in it. In an option, would be able to lower that risk. So I don't have time to really kind of go through everything you need to know about options today. That's, you know, it takes hours and hours and hours and weeks to kind of learn about all the things. Options have many moving pieces, but they're actually very, very simple. What you need to know, the most important thing you need to know about options is understand the difference between rights and obligations. Okay, when you are buying an options, you have the right to do something. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have to. You just have the right to do it. Okay, if you sell, you have an obligation. It doesn't matter if you want to do it or not. You are obligated. You have to do something. Okay, That's where, and again, there are pros and cons of both sides, but when you have an obligation, that's how you lose money very, very fast. Okay. But I will say the Options Council, okay, there's like a kind of a group that is funded by the CBOE. They do all kinds of amazing trainings. They have a YouTube page for it that give you all the basics you need to know about calls and puts. Options is very simple. Okay, there's a couple things called the Greeks that are kind of what happens and changes, to the pricing, and that's really where people get stuck the most. But if you understand at the most basic level what a call is and what a put is, all the advanced strategies out there, they do nothing more than do combinations of calls and puts. So if you understand what a call and what a put is on a basic level, you can understand, well, okay, well, here's a bull call spread. That sounds really, really fancy, but I'm just buying one and selling another. You understand what a call does for you. When you combine that second one, what it does is it kind of caps your potential, but also lowers your risk because you're buying one and selling one. So it's kind of like when you understand the risk graph associated with it. All the fanciest strategies, broken wing butterflies, calendars, everything else, the verticals, everything else in there is literally a combination of buying and selling rights and obligation of a put going up, a put going down or a call going up. That's it. So people make options extremely complicated. Of the Greeks, obviously volatility is probably the most one, but time decay is also important. So again, they do great beginner classes on how to understand all these things. Literally go to the CBOE website, go to education on there, and you'll find a lot of education on, again, just the basics of options trading. Okay. Looks like a CNBC rumor stock. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I mean, at $5, no advisor is allowed to put it in anybody's account. So it's kind of one of those niche things that, I wouldn't necessarily worry about it. So I looked at it from a total of amateur level as they climbed out of 2008 and stayed around $12 a share for a long time. Yeah. But we also, again, look what we have going forward. 2008 was a housing. It was truly a bubble. Is COVID a bubble? And 2008, we collapsed, right? The markets are not collapsing. The markets are at all-time high, but everybody else is messed up. Okay. And the question is a Rolls Royce still cool to have? Is there demand for Rolls Royces? It's kind of like the same thing. The same argument can be made for Harley Davidson. Is Harley Davidson still a cool company? Sure, everybody loves a Harley, right? Bikers only use Harleys, right? But they're struggling because the bikes aren't going bad. They're easy to be fixed now. They last a long time. And what are they doing to stay relevant? Harley Davidson actually made a fully electronic bike because they're having to expand to find, new people that they can target. Okay. So again, think about who who is the buyer of a Rolls Royce these days? Who's buying that as far as the vehicle goes, and again, remember, they do a lot of different things. Yeah, they do jet engines as well. Rolls Royce makes jet engines. But what does travel look like right now? What do jet engine companies, what do they look like right now? The airlines have been up, but is there a lot of demand for that? Or is there going to be as much demand in the future for jet engines as well? For the type of engines that Rolls Royce is making. A lot of questions. On a technical basis, it's such a cheap stock with very low volume, with gaps all over the place. It's not really anything that I'd be like, woo, look at this. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it goes up to $10 and you're like, yes, I went from 4 to 10. That's awesome. Right? But every day it's a gap up and down, and wherever it gaps to, it doesn't move. So it's kind of like, oh, bad day. Bad day, bad day, bad day. Oh, good day. Oh, never mind, bad day. Bad day. And then it doesn't move. Nothing connects in here. So, yeah. No. Are you kidding me, Ernest? Ernest, you're killing me. You're killing me, Ernest. Let me see if I can get this again. Give it back to me. Come on. No, I can't do it yet. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Harley Davidson electric bike. Cannot believe this. Here. Let's see. Right. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal. Oh, this one, they're halting it. That's the bad article that I find. Yeah, it's actually a pretty cool looking bike. Let me see. It's no clutch. Here you go. Right there. It's not a bad looking bike. It doesn't look like a Harley, but it looks pretty sporty, right? Pretty sporty. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to go after morally the environmental friendly motorcycle rider. But no rumble. It actually kind of has like like the first the Priuses, they were like, that's what it sounds like when it moves. So it doesn't sound like a Harley, but yes, Harley Davidson has been talking up a motorcycle. It hopes will bring the younger generations in. So like I said, even old school Harley is adapting and trying to find new people. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, the fact that I can't do the actual giveaway tonight, hopefully it kind of fixes itself tomorrow. Hopefully it's not a repeat, but at least I have the list and I have the picture saved of all of what the pip chip totals are. Ernest's hacks are strong, right? Ernest's hacks are strong. So, he used all those pip chips. He's down about 230 pips, and then magically it breaks. So we're good to go. Yeah, it doesn't. It has no rumble whatsoever. Yeah, picture bite. Yeah, right. Going to Whole Foods. I won. Thanks, Ernest. So, with that said, guys, I'm out of here. I will definitely be around. Excuse me, tomorrow morning. I'll also be around on Discord around. And again, if there's any trade setups that I see that are pretty nice before FOMC, I'll definitely post it or any type of news. Yeah. So again, same time tomorrow night, guys. Hopefully the giveaway is unstuck. Hopefully, like I said, I've refreshed it a few times. And I'm not getting my options to close drawing or anything else. Actually, hold on. Let me see. Oh, wait. I can draw a winner. Here we go. All right. Hold on. Here we go. I'm going to draw the winner, right? Whew. All right. Winner of tonight's drawing is Gallo. Look at that. So it did work. The hacks didn't delete everybody. So they still got in. And look at this. Gallo ends up winning. So Gallo, look at that. You show up and you win. Man, that happens a lot. West does that. Man, look at that. He won with a 6% chance. Wait, it says, yeah, it just did. It just did. It did. Yes. Can you not see this? Can you not see the giveaway complete? Oh, I forgot. You guys have a delay. Yeah, you guys have a delay. You'll see. Okay. Be surprised. Act surprised. Congratulate Gallo. Gallo doesn't come around too often, but again, we know that it didn't break. It just kind of got stunted somewhere. So let's do Gallo. He is in 29th position. Oh, no, he is. Wait, hold on. Yeah, 29th position. That's easy to find. 25. Gallo right there. We'll give him another 25 pip chips. There we go. Look at that. Gallo moving up this. Now he's on 26. He's almost on page 1. Yeah, I know. He hacked Twitch. All right, guys. I'm out of here for real this time. You guys take care, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.